What is up, guys? I'm so glad to be back in studio to go live with you guys tonight. I got a special guest coming on later who's going to be breaking down everything you need to know with Pennsylvania, everything Sidney Powell's unloading, and we're just going to break down where we're at right now in this race and with this election heating up. So first thing we're going to talk about, obviously, is Pennsylvania. Everything going on with the court cases there. We've got a press release out of the Utah County Republican Party we're going to talk about. Mike Pence in his presser, all the contents of the call with Sidney Powell that she just had with Newsmax. It was a blockbuster call. Basically, she said everything's going to be biblical. So I want to break it all down for you. But first, I want to bring on our elections expert who's going to break down this PA case for you. So we're bringing on Evan Wiereg. Evan, glad to have you on the show, boss. How you doing?
Good to be back, man. Good to
Yeah.
be back, and welcome everybody back to Freedom's Future. This is awesome.
Yeah, Freedom's
So-
Future. What is this, our third episode?
I think it's our fourth, actually.
Fourth? Jacob
Yeah.
Krill unfortunately couldn't make it tonight. He was running late, but obviously had to bring Evan back on. He's super knowledgeable about everything going on with the election, so we wanted to make sure that he was on. Evan, I'm going to throw up the PA press release from the Trump campaign up on the screen. Why don't you just break this down for us?
All right. So basically, what happened is that the district court in Pennsylvania has struck down the case, and basically, what had happened here was that Rudy Giuliani, through the Trump campaign, and if you go into the Trump campaign website, this is what they'll actually say here. Today's decision turns out to help us in our strategy to get expeditiously to the U.S. Supreme Court. Although we fully disagree with this opinion, we are thankful to the Obama-appointed judge for making this anticipated decision quickly rather than simply trying to run out the clock.
Right?
This is actually very important.
Yeah, so tell us so he could have just sat on this, took his sweet time. I'm sure the Supreme Court justices were down his neck like, yo, we need a quick decision. We need to get this rolling. Because, I mean, let's be honest. The entire country is up in arms right now. All right? I mean, it's getting to that point where everyone's like, all right, if you've got the evidence, like, release it so we can all look at it and go over it. And Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani are obviously taking their time. They want to make sure that what they're bringing to the table is going to be good enough for the courts, that it's going to be presented in the right way. And I think on the call, and I think we may pull this call up later, she talks about it right at the beginning. She makes a lot of important points about, like, at this stage right now with where the lawsuits are at, it's not the evidentiary stage yet. Like, they don't need to be bringing their entire case to the table right now. And she talks a little bit about that in the call. But let's keep going. They've got it on the screen, but let's go to that next paragraph. I guess they were saying, do you want to read that off?
Yeah, I'll go into that. We'll be seeking an expedited appeal to the Third Circuit. There's so much evidence in Pennsylvania. Democrats eliminated our opportunity to present 50 witnesses and other evidence that election officials blatantly ignored Pennsylvania's law denying independent review. This resulted in, I'm not going to say the full number here, but just under 700,000 ballots being cast illegally, wittingly or unwittingly. This is just an expansion of big tech, big media, corrupt Democrat censorship, of damning facts the American public needs to know. This is actually really, really important to understand here, because in all honesty, we see all of this really just coming to fruition right now. It's really spectacular.
So let's clear this up, though. Here you've got a case of them saying we wanted to present the evidence, but they didn't give us a chance. You've got Sidney Powell on the call, which we're going to bring up later, saying now is not the time for us to be bringing up evidence. We're going to be doing that later. Is that simply because she's talking about a case she hasn't filed yet? This is a filed case. They're two separate things. Break that down for us.
Let's see here. I'm afraid I lost audio here. Give me one moment.
Oh, no, you're totally good. I'll read it. It says, We are disappointed we did not at least get the opportunity to present our evidence at a hearing. Unfortunately, the censorship continues. We hope the Third Circuit will be as gracious as Judge Braun in deciding our appeal one way or the other as expeditiously as possible. This is another case that appears to be moving quickly to the United States Supreme Court. Rudy Giuliani. So, I mean, that's kind of where we're at. You know what I mean? Rudy Giuliani, obviously, it has a lot of confidence in this specific case, getting all the way to the Supreme Court. What do you think is going to happen, Evan, when this gets to the Supreme Court? What remedy do you think is the most likely scenario? What do you expect to happen? Okay, well, Evan is completely out of audio. I don't know why, what happened there, but we're gonna cut over to me, and we'll wait till Evan gets that figured out. And hopefully it's not something on my end. I don't know. It says he's muted. Okay, there he goes. So it says he's unmuted now. Evan, can you hear me? Oh, now he's muted again. Let's play, while he's sitting there, let's play this call with Sidney Powell.
All right, we now have Sidney Powell on the phone. We got the little gremlins out of the system there.
I
Whatever
still
the
lost
problem
you. I
was.
can't hear you.
Sidney, if you can hear us, it's great to talk with you tonight.
Yes.
How you doing? And it's good to talk to you as always. I want to start off with just the ruling. The biggest news out tonight is this Pennsylvania ruling from this federal district court judge. What do you make of that?
Yes, well, each of the district court judges has their own particular perspective on things, and I think that judge was appointed by President Obama. We really don't expect to win a lot of the district court cases, but ultimately the Court of Appeals and the Supreme Court will have to get it right. We're very clear on the law and the facts on multiple issues, and we haven't even begun to present the big fraud case yet that I am still working on. And it's going to be a blockbuster.
I mean, it's interesting. Obviously, I mean, you guys had the news conference this week. There was a lot of compelling stuff in there. It sounded like you guys were making progress going down the road of investigation. But as I think anybody understands, when you're trying to lay out a case, it takes time to find out what you have. You had a bit of a rub with Tucker Carlson this week, who basically said you didn't have any evidence when they asked you to come on. What is the truth of the matter there? Because that made a lot of news.
Okay, I'm going to have to apologize.
He sent me some
Evan,
very,
we're listening to the Sidney call. Can you hear us?
disrespectful emails or text messages, and I responded politely, offering him a different person as a witness who could explain it. I simply didn't have time to do it then, and I sent him a copy of one of the compelling affidavits that we have in the case. And apparently that wasn't sufficient for him. He was having a little bit of a tantrum. But I didn't see or hear what he said, and I haven't had time to listen to what he said after that. I'm just proceeding on my course of getting the case ready to prove in the court, which is where we prove cases of law, not in the media.
What is your timeline as you look at this? What's the timeline you think before you can put out some of this evidence that can really, if you want to shut the media up, they say that you guys have nothing. When will you have some of this stuff that's this hardcore evidence in paper writing?
Well, frankly, the affidavits we've already introduced are hardcore evidence. They're first-hand testimony of witnesses who saw how and why the system was created and how it worked to accomplish the objective for Hugo Chavez. There are people who saw ballots being destroyed. We've got evidence from people who saw fake ballots being created. We've got all kinds of different evidence, and then we've got the statistical and mathematical evidence that is absolutely irrefutable. I mean, the coin doesn't land on the same side when you flip it 186,000 times. You can't just inject 86,000 Biden votes and expect anybody to believe those are real. And they're not.
When we see,
no matter how you analyze the statistics, whether it's a predictive model or the actual data as it comes in, it doesn't hold water. And we've got other testimonial evidence that appears to be coming in now to indicate the Democrats literally added 35,000 votes to every Democratic candidate to begin with.
35 in any particular state, or you say 35,000 where?
We've got it definitely all over one state, and I would be willing to bet it happened everywhere.
And when you lay all this out, and you're going to do this in court. Do you have what you think is irrefutable evidence that will make up the minds of millions of American people?
Well, the burden of proof in court is only a preponderance of the evidence. It's not beyond reasonable doubt. That's a criminal standard. But frankly, with everything we've got, these should be criminal prosecutions at a significant level for fraud and conspiracy to defraud provable beyond reasonable doubt. There are hundreds of thousands of people in our criminal system right now in prison who were convicted on far less evidence of guilt than we have here.
Wow.
Okay, this is important. There are far more people that are in tune with Dominion at this point that have any kind of thing here. I mean, she goes on to say about, she actually goes on to name names here.
Yeah.
I mean, she's going on to name Governor Kemp in Georgia. This is big. This is huge. And it should also be noted here that based on this call, I would actually recommend that everyone go back and watch this. It's about a full 20-minute segment on Newsmax. This means she has not released the Kraken yet. A lot of people were freaking out today that, because this Pennsylvania ruling, like, the Kraken got struck down. No, that's not what happened. She hasn't even released it yet, folks. There's still time. And she's still building up as much of a case as possible. Remember, Sidney Powell is not someone who will make a claim that without being able to back it up in court. That's the important thing.
Yeah, and it's crazy how so many people, they're like, I talked to so many people on Facebook at this point who think that enough time has gone by that we've laid out all the evidence. They're like, you're 0-10 on all your lawsuits, and it's like, okay, we dismissed 8 of those. Like the ones that we lost
if we're to take Rudy's word on Thursday during the press conference, when this was actually brought up during that press conference, like all these different lawsuits are getting tossed out of court. No, that's not the case at all. The Trump campaign specifically only has 3. That's all they have is 3. And meanwhile, like all these different things are mainly coming from state GOP people. They're all all over the place.
Right.
But the thing is, though, is that when things come right down to it, they're going to go to the Third Circuit Court. This is what was brought up in the press release here. If for whatever reason it either gets struck down, they lose in the Third Circuit Court, then it goes to the Supreme Court. Right. It goes to Alito at that point, as far as Arizona's concerned, or not Arizona, Pennsylvania's concerned. And if, eventually, because there are 5, many people call them conservatives, some might even call them originalists. I mean, heck, ACB is an originalist, just like her mentor. And if we were to actually get to that point, they will send it back to the states according to the Constitution, and it'll be up to the state legislators at that point. At that point, too, because the House delegation is, I want to say about 2/3 Republican at this point, and not just any type of Republican, but Trump Republican.
Right. Trump
easily wins in a landslide, and especially here, the Kraken at this point, going back to the aspect of Sidney Powell, the Kraken is the aspect of Dominion and who all is incorporated in that front.
And according to the call that we just watched, near the end, she starts to go in detail about what all they have. The testimony of the Venezuelan guy who saw them build the same thing and use it for Hugo Chavez. His testimony is attached to the Lynn Wood case out of Georgia. So people are just not looking into it. The media is not reporting it at all. All they're reporting is with a clear lack of evidence, Donald Trump is basically trying to do a coup here to Joe Biden, who is the sitting president. It's like, no. Okay, Joe Biden hasn't been certified at all. Donald Trump is president. This is not a coup. We're investigating real fraud, and we're using the channels that the Constitution outlines and gives us to bring up these claims of fraud, which we have so much sworn testimony of. I'm getting sick and tired of talking about the sworn testimony that we have because no one will bother to read it. And it's like, I don't know what else we can do for these people. They think they think at this point in the game, it should just be clear that, Donald Trump's going to win all these lawsuits and Joe Biden might as well just quit. But I mean, these people are like, for them, it's going to be several weeks where they have thought in their head, Joe Biden won this thing. And then for the courts to come out and say, no, he actually didn't. Here's all this fraud. All these people in their mind, they're going to think, well, no, they had no evidence. So what are the courts doing? This is unjust. And I promise you that the crazy leftist, radical left Democrats are going to betray our institutions. They're going to betray our courts. And they're going to say this was some political hit job by Amy Coney Barrett. And oh my God, this is why we got so crazy about the Supreme Court justices that they nominated. Because look at here. They're aiding and abetting a coup by Donald Trump to steal this election from Joe Biden, who actually won it. And there's no evidence of fraud. I mean, I can see that happening clear as day. And we're going to have riots in the streets. And all the Republicans who've already hitched their wagon to Biden, I'm talking about Spencer Cox. Biden had like 12 governors on, and like half of them were Republican sellouts, like Gary Herbert. These people are going to side with the Democrats and try to make it sound bipartisan that like, no, like we need to let Joe Biden be president, even though the courts just handed him a victory, basically. So, Evan, break this down. Let's say we win Pennsylvania. I know we still need to get to 270. We need like Michigan or Georgia, right? It can't just be Pennsylvania. It has to be Pennsylvania plus 1 or 2. And some people just brought up to me that, litigation is completely stopped in Michigan, although I heard they just withdrew the case because Wayne County isn't certifying. Give us some updates on that.
Well, and really, in all honesty, I hate to interrupt you.
Go.
The way that the media has been acting on all of this has been absolutely, it's been really interesting to watch. On the one hand, it's been absolutely fascinating and absolutely hilarious to see them go through their death throes like they have been. In fact, we have a clip here of Pence going through toward the end of the coronavirus press briefing. Just listen to the press corps here and how they react to it.
I mean, is this insanity or what? I mean, these people.
We are witnessing the death throes of the mainstream media. I mean, did you hear what they yelled at the very end?
This is an assault on democracy. This is what you guys are complicit.
They've been doing this the entire time. And the thing is, though, like if they truly believed that there was really nothing wrong with what was going on with the election, that there truly was no issues, that no widespread irregularities with anything. Okay, fine. Give Baby his bottle. Let this all play out. In fact, expedite the entire thing, and we can prove the entire damn thing in court. But instead, they started by laughing at us, and then all of a sudden, things started actually moving forward, and they actually realized, holy crap, Trump might actually win this thing.
Right.
It actually has gotten to the point where they're, oh, now this is a political coup. All right, no, that's not how that works, okay? A political coup would be like, say, on January 20th, the day before Biden would be inaugurated, if that's where it all goes out there. The Marines march into the White House. Trump sits behind the desk in the Oval Office, the Marines everywhere, and says, I run now. There's nothing you can do about it. It's like, holy crap, man. But no, this is not a political coup. This is a constitutional process that's playing out.
I mean, these people are acting like, Donald Trump has sent out the military and they're in the streets and he's like, no one's going anywhere. Okay, I'm going to be president forever. Okay, I'm a dictator. I'm going to be president forever. No one else is going to be president but me. It's like, no, he's literally not. He hasn't shown his face in public. He's not running any of this. He said, look, I got my lawyers on this. We'll see what happens. And the lawyers are confident as hell. They're like, yo, we have so much evidence. People should be criminally prosecuted. One important point she made on the call, if you guys didn't catch it, she was like, this isn't a criminal case. We don't need to prove without a reasonable doubt. We just have to prove upon a preponderance of evidence, which we have. she's like, this is, I mean, hopefully we see criminal cases come out of this based on it. I mean, if what she's saying is true, if what they're, holding on to and still working to file or whatever is true, then this is insane. I want to give props to the Utah Republican Party for basically making this point. Let's see where that graphic is. I think here it is. So, kudos to Derek Brown, our Utah Republican chair, for putting out this press conference, because a lot of people have been giving Utah a bad rap because Gary Herbert is our governor and he is just in bed with Biden and the Democrats, and a lot of people are upset. But here's Derek Brown. He's chair of our party, and he comes out and basically says, look, earlier today, President Trump's legal team held a press conference outlining evidence of what appears to be widespread improprieties in the elections practices in states such as Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Nevada. These allegations, if found to be substantiated, could change the outcome of the election. In light of the gravity of these allegations, they need to be thoroughly investigated and, if necessary, litigated. The American people deserve to know whether these allegations are true or false. The Utah Republican Party stands not only with the American people on this issue, but with the president. If there is any truth to the concerns about connections between the Dominion voting machine, Smartmatic voting software, and coordinated attempts to interfere with the outcome of the election, it is in our country's best interest to shed light on what has happened. After all, sunlight is always the best disinfectant. Finishes off, while the Utah Republican Party stands firmly with the president and his request that these serious allegations be investigated, we also believe it is in everyone's best interest to have these allegations addressed and resolved. This is true regardless of who eventually wins the election. We call on all parties involved to conduct an open and honest investigation as quickly as possible, and for Americans to accept the outcome of that investigation. The American people deserve to know that they can trust the system by which we choose our elected officials. Couldn't agree more. Perfectly put. I agree. I'm 100% with Derek Brown on this. I will be the first one to admit, if Sidney Powell is just blowing hot air and somehow someone convinced her, an amazing legal mind in our country, of this grand conspiracy theory that is just so far out there that, and is completely made up, and the evidence that they've given her that she says she has, if that's just not actually evidence at all of what she's saying, and if the courts say, look, this just isn't enough, Joe Biden won this thing, and we see that it was thoroughly investigated, we see that they brought everything they could, they released the Kraken, the actual Kraken, and nothing happens. If for whatever reason Joe Biden wins after that point, I will be the first one to throw in the towel. Okay, I played sports. I know how to take an L. All right, I'll take an L. But the reason why we haven't taken an L at this point, even though there's a lot of Republicans who already threw in the towel, is because Donald Trump has never been given a fair shake yet by the media or anyone. And the fact that what we witnessed on election night has yet to be addressed in a widespread way, with all the evidence out on the table, we need that. We deserve that. Half the country deserves that. And until we get it, we're not going to stop. We're going to keep being like this. And there's really no healing that can be allowed until we get past this point. And my fear, and I want your take on this, tell me how both sides would react if one candidate wins versus the other. And why the stark difference between those two is what really is the issue we should be talking about as a hypothetical here for the near future.
We've already seen the difference between the two sides. All right. Just this past, summer, even until now, where if we saw everything that that the left has done, they're burning down their own cities, for crying out loud, due to who knows what at this point.
Right.
There were some things that were justified, sure, but the thing is, though, burning down their own neighborhoods, things that actually could help in that regard, that doesn't happen. Meanwhile, if Biden wins, I don't think we're going to see nearly as much unrest. Antifa will still exist, but it won't get nearly as much coverage as it has over the last 4 years. Because you're right, Trump hasn't really gotten a fair shake at all over the last 4 years, and that really is a shame throughout the entirety of it. And so I really just it'll be interesting if Trump does end up pulling this off, because there will be riots. Mark my words, there will be riots if Trump does pull this off. Because let's face it, up and until the Kraken is actually released, to keep pushing that phrase, it's going to be a Hail Mary pass, and he needs to do it at least 3 times. Once in Pennsylvania, once in Georgia, and possibly even in Arizona, if not Wisconsin, depending on which one he decides to go after.
Right.
But it really just comes down to whether or not, people are actually willing to do this. Because let's face it, I mean, there's a lot that's going to end up changing, come the next 4 years if Trump wins or loses. I mean, there's going to be different things that will change. Our entire media landscape will change if it turns out that Biden is in fact the winner. I think our media landscape will probably change if Trump is the winner as well, however, in different ways. But at the same time,
dig a little bit more on that. How would the media react? Let's say the courts come out, they overturn Pennsylvania, they overturn Georgia. She said in the call that they haven't even filed their case in Georgia yet. They're like, we have so much on Georgia. She said Georgia was one of the worst states. She was like,
yeah,
if I had to pin it on like where we saw the most, like a myriad of fraud, like every type of fraud you could possibly see, it was in Georgia. And it's like, okay. Also, Linwood's case hasn't been thrown out yet. So Georgia's not over. Even though they like certified the vote, she was laughing. She's like, yeah, they can certify whatever they want. Once these lawsuits come out and they, prove what we have, that certification's null and void.
I do have to offer one bit of a correction there.
No, go ahead.
That Georgia, only the governor has certified the vote. The state legislature has not yet.
Right.
They have not chosen their electors.
Correct. The governor, which she calls out by name, she's like, the governor wants to certify. He wants to just kick this down the curb. And the reason why she points out is because he's on the, oh my gosh, he's on the, he's on
so many tech issues tonight. My audio going out, Gunner's video going out.
I guess I need a fan or something for my camera.
Maybe, I don't know. But I think it's a sign.
I mean, but what do you think about that? I mean, honestly, like, oh, I'm back, by the way. Wow,
you're back.
that was a quick correction. But I mean, what are they going to do? What's the media going to do? Oh my gosh, I guess we're done for the night. That's
welcome to live broadcast, ladies and gentlemen.
They're like, nope. You got to get a different camera. I wonder, like, do I need just a massive fan just blowing on this thing constantly or what? I just turned this thing on. Jeez. I guess my streaming days are over, ladies and gentlemen. No, for real though, Evan, what do you think the media is going to do if Donald Trump somehow takes this?
Oh, the media is going to flip. Media is absolutely going to flip. The only reason why they were able to survive this long was because of the Trump bump. Let's be honest. I mean, like CNN, NBC, all of the basic media, even Fox now. I mean, we've seen Fox's true colors at this point, like have gotten their ratings because of Trump. And because, like, let's face it, Trump is an inflammatory guy for good reason. But the thing is, though, is that many people were voting against Trump. And they weren't voting for Biden. They voted against Trump because he was mean. Right. I'm sorry, but personality, you go back in history, you look at different presidents like Lyndon Johnson, Woodrow Wilson, Ronald Reagan was actually pretty mean at many points too. But, all these different people, all these different presidents throughout history that just wouldn't be nice to people. All of a sudden, now it's a personality contest. I'm sorry, that's not how the presidency works. That's not how the office is supposed to be like. We've had truly despicable actual fascists in the White House, but the last actual fascist who was in the White House died in office. But, the actuality here is that we have all of these different things just kind of coming up and making sure that he just doesn't succeed. Trump hasn't gotten a fair shake over the last 4 years. And it's because of the media, and it's because of half truths and everything like that, hey, he's back, ladies and gentlemen.
How did you know I was back? Oh, okay, you can see my screen up here. I'm like, wait, I'm in the preview. How did you know that? Okay, so, but dude, I mean,
I got eyes. I mean, they may not work well against the glasses, but I mean,
I mean, you're 100% right, and you know, it's going to be a rude awakening for them. I mean, I don't know. I'll tell you what's going to happen. Okay, it may take a while. We're already seeing new platforms like Parler jump up to prominence, Newsmax, which I don't even know anyone was watching Newsmax 2 years ago, even a year ago. Majority of people, probably not even a couple of months ago. Now they're like climbing in the ratings, climbing. And you know what? Fox News just lost 40% of their viewers, bro. 40% ratings drop in 1 week. Or I guess 2 or whatever, however the interval is that they do it. But dude, that's insane. 40%. You've got, you know, basically everyone on Fox has just jumped ship. Tucker Carlson.
Everyone worthwhile. Most of the people worthwhile anyway. I mean, they got to Tucker. I don't know how long it'll be before they get to get to Hannity. But then again, Hannity may end up jumping ship too.
When I watch Hannity, I'm like, dude, this dude is a true believer, bro. Like, Hannity is in it 100%. And I bet you they are just, they got him by the arm. They're twisting it. They're like, Hannity, we're going to cancel your show. No. This is all you have. And what these people don't realize is like, we will back you up. Like, you go anywhere, we got you. Your whole viewership's coming with you. Like, but you gotta be loyal. And we don't just mean like loyal in the sense like if we're speaking on truths, you just still side with us anyway. Loyal in the sense that like the evidence hasn't even hit the courts yet. We haven't this isn't over. Like, if let's say it went to the Supreme Court.
Only at halftime, folks.
If it went to the Supreme Court, they struck it down and said, Trump, you have no legal basis for winning this presidency. And then Trump comes out with some wild thing that's just like, okay, well I'm going to be president anyway, and my supporters are going to back. Like, that's when everyone will be like, nah, dude, like, we're out. Mm-hmm. We're out. And I promise you, he's sitting there going, dude, this is my one shot. We're going to hit it as hard as we can legally. I want my lawyers to bring everything they've got. And if we win it, we win it. If we lose it, we lose it. And he'll take it like a man because he can run again in 2024. But these people are acting like he's already done that hypothetical that I just brought up. It's like, no, he hasn't. Like, he's not doing anything unconstitutional at this point. We're just simply waiting on the evidence. And to be loyal is simply to say, Trump, we got your back. We'll wait it out. I know everyone and their mother is just bugging us every damn day. Where's the evidence? It's like, dude, we're releasing it. She's putting it online. Lynn Wood, you guys got to read these actual affidavits. You got to read these, what's being put up. And then you got to expect that these liberal judges are going to strike it down anyway. And it's like, it's what happens at the Supreme Court. That's where it's going to come down to. And the Supreme Court is not going to just throw together something dumb with no evidence and enrage half the country. And that's why I think even the standard for Trump is so high. Like, they've got to bring it because half the country has already coronated Joe Biden. That's why the media is acting the way they are, like animals, treating Mike Pence like that. Kayleigh McEnany was completely shut down. She was screamed over, and she had to leave and say, I don't deal with you people like this. This is not respectful. And this is why they're acting like this, because they want to put so much pressure on the Supreme Court to just be like, we will literally burn down this country if you don't let Joe Biden be president. And that should scare all of us. Okay, when the whole country thought Donald Trump lost, when there were a lot of Republican Trump supporters hitting me up like, dude, did we just lose? None of them were like, yo, when are we burning down a building? Like, when are we looting Gucci? Like,
I prefer to loot Best Buy, but that's just me.
Like, let's go loot Best Buy. Come on, let's go freaking burn that place on fire after I take every TV out of there. It's like, no, like, none of us are doing any of that behavior. And that's why we completely support the Insurrection Act for people who, after Trump, if he somehow pulls this off, if there are people who want to go out and terrorize the suburbs or go burn businesses down, like, we need to catch them before they even throw the brick. And they need to be in the van, locked up, and they're hauled away. Federal charges. That's how serious we need to make it apparent to them. if you go out and you do anything after this ruling, you will be charged federally, and you better not leave your house. Okay? You're not supposed to leave your house for COVID. Well, you're not leaving your house to go burn buildings down after Trump somehow takes this from behind, comes back from behind and takes this, through the Supreme Court and wins. So, I mean, that's anything else, Evan? I don't know what else to say to these people other than like, dude.
We're honestly like we're in for a wild ride, folks. I mean, I mentioned earlier that we're at halftime. I don't even think we're even close to halftime yet, given even thinking about
Sidney
it.
Powell acts like she acts like they're at the opening statements. She's like, we haven't even started, and I'm like, what? Like, the American people think we're done. Like, they think this is over. And it's just going to make it even worse. And that's...
Oh, yeah. No, there's absolutely no way. There's no way this is over yet, folks. I mean, we're still in it for the long haul. I mean, let's face it. I don't know how many of you are familiar with J.P. Sears, but there was a video that he produced recently where they basically called a football game, like if football games were called like the recent election, they called the game at the end of the first quarter. Jeez. Okay, that's where we're at right now. We're at the end of the first quarter. We're going to be picking up at our own 20 at this point, at the beginning of the second. But the thing is, though, is that we are in for a wild ride. The election has not been certified in really any state at this point. It's up to the state legislatures when they choose their electors. Only then can we legally say that Biden is technically president-elect. But even then, I mean, with all these ballots and everyone going through, it's going to be a massacre when the Kraken does finally get released, especially given Sidney Powell's reputation. Keep an eye out for it. Yeah. Keep a listening ear out for it, and do not pay attention to what the media tries to spin this as. Keep a lookout. If you want to know what's actually going on, look at the lawsuits. Look at the decisions coming down from the courts.
And that's really where the media has failed in all of this, right? It's like, if they were better preparing the American public, hey guys, this is what someone who is being truthful. I'll even put like a liberal bias on this, okay? This is how the media should be reporting this. Guys, according to the current count, it looks like Joe Biden should be the projected winner of the 2020 election. However, there are there's litigation pending, and according to the Trump campaign and according to the Constitution, they have every means of vetting this out. And Joe Biden won fair and square, so let them have their little legal fights. It's not going to do anything. Joe Biden won by enough for this none of these things to matter, and so let this play out. And yet Joe Biden's still going to be president, and here's how it's going to go. But they're not doing that at all. They're not being objective. They're not giving our side of, these lawsuits need to play out. They can still say, hey, windows are closing because they think that maybe there's less and less paths. And at a certain point say, hey, I just don't see any paths left. I think Trump's lost. But until, honestly, every lawsuit's gone and the Supreme Court comes out and strikes it down, these people really need to have a little bit more patience. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly.
Well,
exactly.
My camera's out again. So let's wrap this up here. Evan, closing remarks from you, and then we'll call it.
All right. Hang tight, everybody. We're in for a wild ride. Again, we're not quite to halftime yet. We're at our own 20. Let's pick up the ball and run with it. Let's throw as many Hail Marys as possible to get that touchdown, if not even before halftime. Let's win this thing. And do not lose hope. We must remain vigilant, and we cannot lose hope throughout this entire thing. If things actually do come out that everything was done legitimately and for some reason Dominion cleaned up their act, okay, fine, whatever. We'll take the L and we'll move on until 2022. But until the meantime, we need to be able to ensure that our votes weren't disenfranchised, that we can actually move forward with confidence and say this thing is secure. But we can't do that right now. Let it happen. Continue the fight. Don't get discouraged, and we'll continue to move forward to win.
Love it, Evan. Look, my message is simple, okay? We're either going to be partying in 2 weeks or we're going to have some ice cream, watching some chick flicks, crying our eyes out, okay? I'm down for both, all right? I'm down for both. It has been one wild ride. it's going to get even more dramatic, I guess, in these next 2 weeks as they release the Kraken. I'm sitting back excited as hell, keeping the faith, staying loyal and true. Guys, if for whatever reason Trump loses this, even though I think he's going to win, we'll make plans for 2024. We'll take this like champs. Okay, we're gonna take it either way. But if he overturns this, boy, I'm rubbing this in so many people's faces, bro. I cannot wait to rub this in so many of your faces because I told you this was coming. We saw it on election night. Joe Biden cheated. Okay, the facts are out there. The evidence is clear. You just got to wait and see. It's coming, folks. And with that, we'll leave it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time. Freedom's future. Have a good night.